All right, here Keegan O'Toole, Big 12 tournament, day zero, kind of getting the workouts in and all that stuff on Friday before the tournament starts tomorrow. Story of the year, I guess, has been your injury and recovery and all those things like that. How you feeling right now? You ready to go into this one?
Oh yeah, whether I'm feeling good or not, it's time to wrestle. So I'm just happy because I haven't been wrestling too much this year.
So I talked to Coach Smith, and he acted like, you have this kind of attitude even when you're hurt. It's like you're not hurt, and you just keep going and you do, your thing. What is it about you that kind of that brings that out, I guess?
I would say because 3 years ago at Nationals, I freaking popped my ankle like no other in my second match, and it was like there's like a moment where you could think, oh, I'm done, or you could just switch it and say it doesn't matter. And so that little moment right there when I found out that I had what I had, and it was not I had experience with it, so it wasn't, oh, I'm done. It was, doesn't matter. We're going to adjust what we need to adjust, but at the end of the day, I'm going to wrestle Big 12s, and I'm going to wrestle Nationals, and I'm going to get a Big 12 title and a national title to finish my senior year.
And I think it's cliche to ask, but I'm going to ask you, how important is it to go out that way?
I mean, important. In reality, it's not important because in the grand scheme of things, like, I just enjoy this process, and I love wrestling, and I love being with my teammates and helping them. So in terms of result, it's not as important as this whole culmination of the year. However, just based on the goals I've written myself since I was a little kid, and the goals that I write down every single day in my all-in-one journal, it's important in that aspect because who doesn't want to achieve their goals, right?
So you mentioned enjoying wrestling, and that's I think it's. I wish if I could go back in my own body 20 years ago when I was a high school wrestler, I found ways to do that a little bit more.
Yeah.
And I was at a high school state tournament last week and talking to some of the kids there, and some of them were hitting those walls where they weren't enjoying wrestling, and and it's a unique struggle and stuff. How do you find that in yourself to do that? Because I know it's kind of an art. Not everybody does that well, I don't think.
Well, with anything in life, no matter how much you enjoy it, I think you're going to find times where you don't like it. I could probably go ask any professional athlete, anyone in the NFL, any high-level wrestler, basketball player, where there are times where it's like, man, I would rather sit in bed, or I would sit at home with the missus and just eat food, watch a TV show. But throughout the years of training, you develop the discipline. And so that's where motivation just leaves your body and nothing but pure discipline takes over. And so obviously, I love the sport. I enjoy probably 98% of everything that I do with it, but there still is that 2%, say that, where I'm like, man, I am hurting. I don't want to go into practice. There are like 4 other things I could do, but that's where your pure discipline takes over. And I think that's just a skill in life that you need in general. Like it's something that my parents also instilled in me when I was a little kid that I can't think of enough for. It was like, doesn't matter how you feel, you're gonna get the job done, and you're gonna do what needs to be done.
It's awesome. So with that, the job's not easy this weekend. It's a tough weight class. There's Hamity. There's a couple other guys here that are really, really good. And I don't know. How do you navigate that with being a little bit hurt or whatever?
I navigate it by sticking to the game plan, which is what I've been training for the past 3-4 months, and obviously even farther back. What's crazy is that even though I've been hurt this whole time, every single practice I've found a way to do something, whether that's one thing for an hour and a half or 2 things, or it's even just sitting on a bike. Like, I've done something every single practice, and so I have that confidence going into this tournament that whatever they're going to throw at me, it doesn't matter because I have that confidence in myself that Coach Smith always talks about. And at the same time, I'm just ready to throw down and get tough. Like, when it comes down to it, it's just going to be a fight.
So there criticisms of the seeds, I guess. Do you look at that? Do you think anything about that?
I'm in a small group with 3 other married couples, and one of them is he's gonna be here this week, and he's like the biggest Mizzou wrestling fan. Just he's so awesome. His name's Cullen, and he texted me. He was like, "Man, this is BS, dude." Like, I'm like, "What are you talking about?" I don't even know. He's like, "They gave you the freaking 2 seed." I'm like, "Oh, I didn't even know that." And so he's like, "Well, all right. Well, it makes me feel more comfortable that you don't care, but it still pisses me off." And so, if you look at it from point of view of I'm a competitor, college wrestling is hard. So I'm going to have to go through a wall. every match is going to be a fight. It's going to be a different fight. It's going to pose a different set of challenges, and regardless of whether you're 1 seed through, in this case, there's 13 or 14 teams in Big 12. Like, it's irrelevant. I think honestly, a guy who wrestled I think Shane Griffith one time, he said it best. He's like, you're 0-0 once March hits. Like, it's a whole new ball game. It's tournament time. It's a whole new level of intensity, and maybe not a whole new level of intensity, but it's also like, this is almost a little bit more for yourself. You take care of yourself, you take care of your team, right? If you're looking for team goals, like, if you perform at your best self individually, you're going to perform for your team. Whereas regular season, you're in duels, and it's like, all right, well, I need a major. I need to get team points, or like, I'm looking for a pin this whole match because we're down by 5, things like that. But now it's just do what you got to do. Score as many points as you can, impose your will, break your opponent.
So you're married?
Yep.
Okay, so is that recent?
Yeah, I got married on October 5th.
Okay, so like this is your first wrestling season married then,
Yeah.
okay? So
Yeah.
you mentioned the group text and that, but what's navigating that been like? 'Cause it's unique. It's a different perspective probably than a 19-year-old kid,
Yeah, it has forced me to grow up a lot, right? I made that decision to get married about 6 months into dating this girl. I just kind of knew from the beginning that I was like, man, she's going to be the one that is with me the rest of my life. And so now I just think that there's a new role that I have to take, and it's not my whole goal and pursuit is wrestling. That changed. Like, no, I have to lead my marriage into the right direction and do what's best for my family now, because I have a family. That's me and my wife and my dog, and then down the road we have kids on the way. But so now it's turned into wrestling as something it's super important still, and I'm putting everything I can. But I guess I don't know how to describe it. It's like, it's not number one in my life now. It's up there, but it's not number one.
Well, hey, it's does that give you any? I don't know. Maybe that has some positives, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Perspective, I guess.
Yeah, perspective for sure. Because I'm like, okay, well, I could be mad about X, Y, Z in terms of wrestling, but I still got to go home at the end of the day, and I still got to spend intentional time with my wife, and she still wants my attention, and I have to be a good husband. There's no way around it. I have to lead her, and if I'm just moping around or I'm only thinking about wrestling, also it's like the amount of times I've probably gotten yelled at, like, are you even listening to me? Because I'm thinking about wrestling or talking about wrestling is, I'm only been married for what? October, November, December, January, February, March, 5 months now. And I would say I probably got yelled at over 100 times. Just like, hey, are you listening to me? So it's honestly a good distraction. It's probably one of the best distractions I've ever had.
Well, hey, that works, man.
Yeah.
it's
a whole new ball game.
One way to do it, I guess.
Yeah.
There you go, man. Hey, well, it's kind of interesting, different perspective on that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm glad you're back. Glad to see you competing here, and good luck this weekend.
Thank you.